What's up? What's up, guys? New episode of the Devlog series. I've been very busy lately with this game. So let's get right into it because I have a lot of things to talk about. So I did a few things. I kind of made a little progress on the stats screen, character sheet screen, which is not that important compared to what I did, but I want to mention it real quick. I also... Okay, so I did two big things. One of them is concerning pathfinding, and the other one is about something that's a bit more involved in the gameplay loop. Because as it stands... pathfinding, while it is extremely important, is kind of seen as background, you know what I mean? Like, it's not really like a big deal usually. You just do it. So I did it. I was kind of scared, to be honest, because that's not something I've ever done before. Sorry, I'm yawning. But I did it without too many issues with the A-star implementation that exists in Godot. Thankfully, they even have an A-star implementation for tile maps, for grid layers and stuff like that, and that's I'm quite grateful for that. So that's nice. So I was able to do that without too many issues. Nothing major, at least. I can't really demo it right now because, unfortunately, it's kind of annoying to place characters while they're not on a grid. But I do plan on adding like a function in the dungeon generation that includes adding enemies in the dungeon, so I will be able to show it off next time in the dungeon, because obviously pathfinding is really tested when you have a dungeon, because when you're just in a field you can just use much simpler algorithms than A-star, obviously. A-star is useful because it helps avoiding obstacles and stuff like that, and it's quite efficient at doing so. But the other thing I've been doing, because A-star implementation, it's so easy. Godot made it so easy for me that it wasn't that long. Didn't take that long. But something that took me a bit longer because I wanted it to look nice, exactly how I wanted, is, I'm not done yet with the visual elements, but with the gameplay elements I am quite happy, is a mercantile system, if you will, just having merchants in the world that you can interact with, that have what is called loot tables, weighted loot tables, because you can creating a loot table with a normal distribution is kind of useless, you know what I mean? Like, you want a weighted probability for this kind of functionality, obviously, in gaming, because you want some items to be rarer. And usually that would only work that would only be true for like chests and stuff like that, but I do want to make it so that the merchants never really have the same merchandise they can sell you. They have a loot table like Isaac, like the Binding of Isaac, not quite exactly like it, obviously, but similarly to Isaac, you have a lot of items that are quite useful, and they are very high weight in the loot table. In Isaac, that would be a key, a bomb, a battery, a pill, a heart, all this stuff. For me, it's like a torch, all the utilities for dungeon delving. And so you have this, and you have the heavily weighted. Contrary to Isaac merchants, my merchants don't have a guaranteed item, because in Isaac, obviously you have 2 guaranteed, at least 1 or 2 depending on how much money you donated and stuff like that. But you have guaranteed 1 or 2 items, passives or actives. I don't have that, but I've made it so that you'd have to be pretty unlucky to not have something that's worthwhile. And I'm going to do, as I develop, make sure that the weights are set up in such a way that you can't really get fucked over. Obviously you will always be able to be fucked over, because rolling a 0.001 probability 50 times in a row, you're bound to hit it. But you know, I like adding this kind of RNG to a game, because it adds to the idea that it's a real world. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, because having guaranteed things are nice, obviously, but I like to have guaranteed things with an asterisk. Probably guaranteed. So yeah, that's how I envision the loot tables, at least. You have a 0.1 chance. You have not a 0.1 chance. Never mind. You have 1 weight items like torches, probably other items in the future, and you have 0.1 weight items. But there is so many items available at the merchant that among all the torches, you're probably gonna get a potion here and there. And that's something you can almost always depend on from my testing. Obviously, as I add more items, I'm going to have to tweak these values, and I do want to make to add some useful items as 1 weighted. Obviously, a torch is useful, not as is, because obviously you start with 3 torches, but that's more for testing purposes. So yeah, I mean, also different merchants have different type of your loot tables. So far I've added 2 merchants. A shady merchant, I mean, I don't know exactly how to say it in English. A smuggler, actually, yes, the word is smuggler. A smuggler, which will bring you items at a reduced price, but their origin is uncertain. So for instance, I have a potion item, which is a healing potion when you buy it from a licensed merchant. But when you buy the same item from the smuggler, it's called a red potion, because it's the same shape and the same thing as, but it's not. The smuggler can't guarantee that it's a healing potion. You know, he got it illegally. And the same item is much cheaper when it's sold by the smuggler, but has chances to be quite bad for you. So for instance, with the red potion, the healing potion default like thing is you heal between I mean, I haven't decided exactly the values, but let's say between 20 and 30 HP. You know, it's not a large range, but it's enough, you know, to have variation and cause issues sometimes. 20 to 30 is not enough of a range, to be honest. 5 to 30 is a nice range, because if you roll a 5, you're fucked if you really needed it. So maybe I'll see. Maybe a weighted, maybe with a, what's it called? Exponential distribution, with like at the very tail end of the very low probability of the exponential distribution, you have +1, +2, +3, and because it's a regular health potion, it's guaranteed to be within an acceptable healing range of maybe 10 to 30. But by the nature of the exponential distribution, it's not technically impossible to roll a 1. So that's again of something I'm thinking about the distributions and the probabilistic properties of these items. But for the contraband version of the potion, the smuggled version of this potion, it's weighted completely differently in such a way that you can even incur damage. Not only can you not get healed, you can also get poisoned. Not poisoned, because there is going to be a poison status effect, and the potion doesn't give you that, it just hits you with maybe 10 damage. I don't remember what I said it to. So there is a 0.1 weighted chance of getting hit with 10 damage, a 0.5 weight to be hit with 5 or 10, a 1 weighted chance to be healed with 20, and a 0.001 to be healed for 100. So it's kind of like the suspicious potion in Terraria that you buy from the bone merchant. They have the opportunity to be much better than a regular potion, but they also have the opportunity to be much worse than a regular potion. And that's kind of... I haven't added potion sickness to my game, but that's something that I want to make. Maybe not necessarily just the way Terraria does it, where like you heal once and you have potion sickness for a few seconds or a minute. The idea would be maybe to make it so that potions, while they heal you physically, can damage you psychologically or something like that. Like, there is drawbacks to potions that could be useful and interesting to implement in the future. So you can resort to more other healings methods if you don't feel too confident about your mental health or your build and stuff like that. But that's something to consider in the future. So I've added these two type of merchants so far. The stores that are going to be in the dungeon, I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. I thought that I would just have the regular merchant, but to be honest, it's kind of fun if it's a random merchant from the merchant pool, I guess. Not weighted here, just uniform distribution, and you just get a random shot at a smuggler, a regular merchant, a weapons merchant, and stuff like that. I'm obviously gonna add different type of merchants in the future, but there's only so much stuff you can do in a week. And yeah, that's what I did. I'm going to demo it now. Don't forget that you can look it up on itch.io in the description if you want to try it out for yourself. So I also added for the merchants different dialogues. So this is the... also I added barrels for PewDiePie. No, I'm kidding. Because barrels are kind of like a nation and a basic of dungeon delving with crates and chests. And I made it so that the wood is the same wood as the ones that are used for the houses. So this merchant, I'm gonna equip a torch. This merchant is the official merchant. She's a goblin merchant, part of Goblin Traders Incorporated, which is like a corporation that provides goods to adventurers, basically. She doesn't have... she used to have dialogue, but I removed them on accident, so I'm not going to showcase her first. I'm going to showcase that person here, which is a smuggler, because as you can see, they're wearing a cloak and very much like a flasher or you know, shady merchants in cartoons, you know. So when you talk to him, you have dialogue that's just... I mean, it's in French, obviously, so I'm going to have to translate, but... Are you ready to have a good deal? Something like that, you know what I mean? shady things merchants say. And so you have the list of items that he sells. He sells less items than regular merchants, but they are weighted in such a way that they are more probable to be better, kind of, and more random. For now, I've only added red potions, potion rouge. G stands for large, grand, meaning you can take 5 sips out of it. There are, 5 use. There's going to be medium and small versions. Small are like 1 swig, and medium are like basically 2 or 3. 3 is better. You can sell your shit and buy their shit. The sell and buy price is dependent on your stats. So as you can see, I've chosen the Wander class, which has 50 as all stats. Basically, it's a beggar from Dark Souls. And so it zeroes out the prices. So basically, you buy items at the default price and you sell them at the default sale price, which is the buy price divided by 2 rounded down. But when I'm going to choose another class which has different stats, so you see the Wanderer has 50 everywhere, but if I choose for example the Selenomancer, which has violence 25 violence and 25, never mind, that's a bad example. If I take the Beneficus Corporis, which is the flesh mage in Latin, he has 80 violence and 0 verb, which means that he's kind of awkward. He doesn't use his words, but he's very violent, and you'll see how that. I didn't change the sprite, but imagine. See how it increases or decreases the prices. Suddenly, when you have 0 verb and a lot of violence, everything you sell costs 0, and everything you buy is pretty much twice as expensive. That's because basically, I've made a formula for it. I am going to show it on OBS real quick. Can I add? No, I can't add text easily. That's kind of stupid. Okay, let me just add a text editor real quick to the scene. My goodness. Things new. There you go. And I'm zooming in. So the value of an item you buy is the base value multiplied by 1 plus plus what again? So something you buy. Yes. So no, it's not that actually. It's the base value plus the base value times your violence minus the base value times your verb as a percentage, so divided by 100 in each cases. Meaning that if you have 100 violence, so let's say an item is 5, the base value is 5. Well, you have 5 plus your 80. Let's work with the Veneficus corporis stats. Plus 5 times 80%, so 0.8, minus 5 times 0, because 0 verb. So basically it's like, so this cancels out. So we have just 5 plus 5.8, and this is pretty simple. 5 times 80% of 5 is like, let me check. I don't know that off the top of my head. Is 4. Yeah. Oh yeah, of course, yes. So you have 5 plus 4, which is 9. So as you can see, having high valence really increases the price, while having low verb doesn't decrease it. And you know, so you are, if you have, in the case of the Wenger, if you have so 5 plus 5 times 0.5 negative 5 times 0.5, these two cancel out, you know, so you have just the base. So as long as you have any value here, as long as your valence value is equal to your verb value, you have the base price. If your valence is greater than your verb, you will pay more. If your verb is higher than your valence, you will pay less. Because merchants don't react well to violence, and they react better to haggling. Now that's for the value when you buy. The value when you sell is also influenced by your valence and verb, but in different ways. So it's the base value of the item times, yes, 1 plus violence divided by 100 minus verb divided by 100. So that means that the price is higher when this is greater than that, and the price, no, never mind. Okay, let's once again work it out. So we have a base value of 10. It's easier like that. Okay, so the value you sell, let's say you have violence over 100 equal to 0.8. Let's take the case of the Veneficus corporis once again. And your verb over 100 is equal to 0, obviously, because you have 0 verb. Well, then you obtain base value times 1, that makes 10, but plus, because it's all of this is in parentheses, so 1.8 plus 0, which makes 10. Hang on. That doesn't make sense. What's my actual? Because I've been doing it from memory here, so let's look at the actual equation that I wrote out, because I mean I did write it out for a reason. Let us see. There it is. So sell value, yes, I'm stupid. So sell value is equal to base value. Let me remove that because it's confusing. Sell value is equal to base value divided by 2, always, because obviously you can't buy and you can't sell an item at the same price you bought it, and then you multiply it by this. I think. No. Yes. you do, because you want to try to increase it. But it's negative violence, obviously, because violence reduces the price, and positive verb, because it increases the price. So let's try with this, with a base value of 10, violence of 0.8, and verb of 0. The value you're going to sell your item is the base value over 2. Times 1 minus 0.8 plus 0, which gives us 10 over 2, which is 5, times 1. So this is equal to 0.2. So 2%, 20% of 5, which is, let me look it up online. It's 5.21. So you have a sell value from an item that costs 10. You bought it for 10. You're gonna sell it for 1 because your violence is very high. But if we switch the values, so you have a violence of 20, for instance, and a verb of 60, and a base value of 10, yet again, of 100, no, of 10, so it's comparable. Your value when you sell is equal to 5, because 10 over 2, times 1, minus 0.2, 0.8, plus 0.6, 8 plus 6 is 14, so times 1.4. And so 1 times 1.4, 5 times 1.4 is 7. So you have, because your verb is higher than your violence, you sell it for closer to the original price. Basically, when you have 0 violence and 100 verb, you can sell it for its base value. You can never go above the base value, because that would be an infinite money glitch. But you can sell it for as much as you bought it. So when you find items in dungeon that you got for nothing, you get to sell them for a higher price than if you were very violent. So that's the basic idea. I could plot it on a graph, but I'm not going to do it. So yeah, I mean, that's all I did, which is not bad. I mean, I did add some items, but nothing too interesting. I did make some sprite work. I created key art for the itch.io page, because I realized that not having key art is probably driving people away. So let me just show you the key art. I mean, you can look it up, obviously, on itch.io for yourself, which is in the description. But this, oh my god, it's rendering very poorly on OBS. Okay, basically that's it. It's nice. I like the way it looks, and maybe I'll modify it later on, but for now it's good. Anyways, go look at it for yourself, play it for yourself, and yeah, see you.